All right, what's going on? My name is Dave. I am a musician, hiding as a triathlete, hiding as a cyclist, and I figured I'd do a quick intro video, kind of like a who, what, where, why, and when, in terms of what's going on here and why I'm making a video. So basically, I was going to focus on running and triathlon for the year when it comes to like the sports, and what happened was I got into Dirty Kanza. That kind of changed things quite drastically for me, and I am on Florida Velo gravel team. I got in through one of my closest friends of all time, Vida, asked me if I wanted to be a part of the gravel team. Of course I said yes. I've been a surrogate member of the road team for a couple years now when we went up to Six Gap, and I just jumped in the race there. But I mean, gravel's hot as fuck right now, right? Everybody's talking about it. All the innovations are coming in cycling from that genre, so to speak. And what's not to really like? I mean, I've done 2 gravel races so far this year in Florida. Show and tell time. That was in Homestead, Miami area. Great course, by the way. The people that did that was these guys, Gateway to Gravel. They've got a couple more events coming up, which I'm going to jump into as well. But I've done 2 of their events, one in the Everglades, and then that photo's from Homestead. The Homestead course was awesome. ESP timing. So I'm going to kind of focus on everything in Florida, to make it Florida-centric, I guess, is the way to kind of look at it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do everything leading up to Dirty Kanza itself, and then after Dirty Kanza, I've also signed up for the Belgian Waffle Ride in Asheville, North Carolina. So I'm kind of going to cover both those events and some of like the more like longer rides I've done with nutrition and hydration and that sort of thing, and I'm going to cover a lot of the gear I'm using, why I'm choosing it, why I'm not using it. Like, what was I thinking when I went with this beautiful saddle, right? But I'll cover that in a separate video. But behind me is my road bike. Typically, it's usually my gravel bike, which is a 2020 Giant Revolt. It's the 3. The reason I have the 3 is because I got hooked up by the shop, the bicycle shop out of Stuart, Florida. The team is sponsored by Coretech, but I got the blessing to roll with the Giant, and I'm going to be doing some videos on the Giant actually as well, and kind of covering the gravel bike itself. Why I went with the 3 versus the top of the line, I had the option to take the top of the line, but I went with the entry level. And it's got Tiagra on it right now, 2x Tiagra, and I will go into depth why I chose that bike, why I use that componentry, why I'm changing the componentry, and that sort of thing. So there's a whole host of things. I'll cover the saddles, as you just saw, the shoes, everything I can. Now, I know the internet doesn't need another one of these kind of fucking faces showing up and, whatever. But I'm hoping to be like kind of a resource, because when you look at Dirty Kanza itself, all the information on the internet, almost 99% of it is tire choice and tire pressure. I mean, I get it, I'm thinking that's a major concern, but nutrition is a major concern of mine, as well as hydration, because it's self-supported, over 200 miles in Flint Hills. So there's more to consider than just tire choice. So I guess I went from a 2-year plan to having basically a 5-year plan, because I'm going to be trying to do 2 to 3 major gravel events every year. And I do have a list. I wrote them down, actually. I don't know if you can read that. It doesn't really matter. But DK was top of the list. Rebecca's Private Idaho. Belgian Waffle Ride. Now, I don't know if I'm going to get to California since I'm doing Asheville, but it's still in the back of my mind. Roubaix, the Rift, Worlds, Steamboat, Big Sugar, and anything else that kind of comes up. I know I'm forgetting a few others, but there's a lot of resources out there that you can definitely get your fill of all things gravel. And the thing is, people that are into gravel do gravel. and hence me doing this. But it's an amazing sport, and it kind of brought me back to the love of cycling. It reminded me of the early days with triathlon, when you go to a race and it was more of a community and you had beer afterwards, and it was like, my first triathlon was Seaside Heights, New Jersey, and it still lingers in my head, and I haven't really been able to recreate that kind of vibe over the last, I don't know, probably 10 years now. But gravel seems to be doing that for me, and who doesn't like beer? I mean, I'm into beer, and gravel supports that. The last race I did in Miami started at a brewery and ended at a brewery, so that was pretty good hydration. I think the other key thing about Dirty Kanza and me just being like, well, screw it, I'm not going to do the Ironman plan, has a lot to do with the fact that I think Kanza, in particular Emporia, it seems that it kind of embodies the same mindset and allure of the Hawaii Ironman. You know, the community rallies around a specific race, and it's an epic adventure race, and you know, it's going to be hard and it's going to be rewarding, and I think the event itself kind of lends itself more to like the Ironman in Hawaii. That's just my personal opinion at the moment, and that obviously is subject to change, but that's just kind of where my head goes with it. I guess some of the other things to think about resource-wise, I mean, Ted King is a great resource. He's got a podcast. He puts videos out. He does all the races. He's been doing this for quite a while. He's even got his own event on. So he definitely, even though his name is Ted King, I would say he's probably the king of gravel at this point, right? He's our hierarchy. The guys at EF Education doing the alternative race calendar, if you look up those Rapha films, they're pretty good for inspiration. I don't agree with a lot of people's sentiment that it's just to sell Rapha bib shorts, you know. I think the films are really good, and I also think Lachlan Morton, I even said in 2019, was the greatest cyclist for that year, hands down. What else? His brother Gus has a film company called Thereabouts. Those films are worth checking out as well. They're done really well. I just said well twice. What else? I guess a vegan cyclist. He won me over. I kind of like that guy. I really want to invite him down to Florida and do some rides with him or meet up with him. He won me over. He won me over with, he did a pop-up event in, I think it was Arkansas. I don't know. It was a Rapha thing. And he was like, bro, there's so many hipsters here, dude. And I'm like, bro, you're a fucking hipster too. I don't know what it is, but well done, man. His videos are very, very good. And if you're into that sort of thing, the vegan aspect, it's got a lot of great information there. GCN, of course, is another good one. Podcasts, I mean, VeloNews. It covers a lot of gravel stuff lately. And what else? I guess Fascat Coaching. They have a good podcast too. So I'm trying to think. I mean, the Zwift Power Up podcast, but that's more triathlon focused. There is a cycling focused one as well. I don't know what else I could really say at the moment. I'm going to cover the shoes. I'm going to cover the seats. I'm going to cover helmets. I'm going to cover sunglasses. I'm going to cover the events. I'm going to cover tire selection, pressure selection, all that shit. I'm just going to cover it all as much as I can. And Gravel Cyclist, he's here in Florida as well too. He's got a good channel and does a lot. So there's just so much out there, and I think the nice part about it is it's all inclusive, and hopefully, you know, I can share something that is of value to you going forward. I wanted to keep this under 5 minutes. It's 8 minutes and 58 seconds, and I got a salad. And by the way, I'm about to eat the salad, right? And just so you can see, I thought this was pretty fitting, you know. I don't know if you can see that 007. She called it out. She's like, 007? I'm like, Bond. James Bond here. Didn't even crack a smile. What a jerk off.